Hello everybody, Joey the Truth Wagner with you. Welcome into the Truth Serum. And everybody, I am so excited to make this video, because out of all of the playoffs in all of sports, my favorite and the best playoffs in all of sports by a mile are the Stanley Cup playoffs. And this year, not only do I get the Stanley Cup playoffs, but I get a whole extra round to it too. So this is even better. 5 rounds of playoff hockey. Oh, light that baby up and fire the cannons. This is awesome. But anyway, folks, this is my prediction video for all of the playoff series from the qualifying round all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. So this is going to take quite a while, so sit back, enjoy, grab some popcorn, take it easy, relax, and enjoy this one. And if you haven't yet, please click that like button so I know you're enjoying the content. And if you're brand new to the channel, I'm so happy you found me, and please click that subscribe button with the bell on, because I'm going to be streaming a lot of playoff games, and I don't want you to miss anything that I put on about them. So let's get started. I'll get started in the Eastern Conference on the right part of the screen here with the qualifying round for those games, and I'll start with the 8th seeded Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the number 9 seeded Blue Jackets. This will be a very interesting series, because this series is about all offense, the Maple Leafs, versus defense in the Blue Jackets. So this is a very interesting one. I know before the break, Columbus was hurt a lot, but that was 4 months ago, and they're pretty healthy. But it's just hard to say no to the Maple Leafs when you look down their forward roster and you have Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and John Tavares and Nylander. Offensively, the Leafs are stacked. Plus, I know there's no fans in the building, but they're playing in Toronto, so they know the caroms, they know all of the little stuff of the arena that the Blue Jackets would not. And personally, I think the Maple Leafs are the better team, so Toronto beats Columbus and moves on to round 1. Next up, a very interesting series. Number 6 seeded Carolina Hurricanes taking on the number 11 seed New York Rangers. The Rangers were white hot before the break, and Carolina used the break to get healthy. Everybody, Carolina, when you don't look at goaltender, forward group, coaching, defensemen, they're a very well-coached and very, very, very good group. Carolina, I love their D-men. You got Slavin. You got Dougie Hamilton coming back from the broken leg. You got Sammy Vatanen, who they got at the trade deadline. They also got Brady Shea, plus the D-men they already had. Jake Gardner, very solid group. Carolina, they dominate the puck when they play too. If you look at the numbers, they're always at the top of the league in shot differential. Rangers, fun story, fun team. You got Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad. But the question is with the Rangers, who's going to play in goal? And how are they going to defend and play defense? This will be a close series. I think this one goes 5 games. But I will give Carolina the slight edge, and they'll move on. Next up, Penguins and Montreal. Do I really have to talk about this one? Montreal was a .500 hockey team, and the Penguins have the 7th best record in hockey when everything was paused. Do I really have to talk about this one? If Carey Price wasn't Montreal's goaltender, the Penguins would sweep this in a minute. There's no upside for Montreal to win this series. I don't think they have a chance. The Penguins are healthy, other than a few depth injuries. They are fresh. 2 good goalies. Crosby, Malkin, Gensel's back. Dumoulin's healthy. The Penguins are a contender. And I'll say Penguins in 4 just because I think Carey Price will steal one. But this will be one of the more, I'm not going to call it a boring series, but we know who's winning this one, Pittsburgh. Next up, Islanders in Florida. Woo. Again, just like the Maple Leafs and Columbus. Offense, Florida, versus defense, Islanders. Both have great Hall of Fame head coaches. Barry Trotz for New York, Joe Quenneville for Florida. And everybody, last year with the Islanders, I couldn't get on the bandwagon. And they ended up sweeping the Penguins in 4, but I just couldn't get on the bandwagon. And I still can't completely take them seriously. Other than the long point stretch that they had during the early part of the regular season, other than that hot streak, for the rest of their year, they were very mediocre. And Florida has a ton of skill, and they have Sergei Bobrovsky. He is a man on a mission, and he doesn't want to be the $70 million bust. So I think Bobrovsky comes out, plays great, stifles the Islanders, and Florida moves on. So on the Eastern Conference side, you got the Maple Leafs, the Hurricanes, the Penguins, and the Panthers. So with those matchups, the first round would be Bruins, Panthers, Capitals, Maple Leafs. Oh, that'll be a good one. Lightning, Hurricanes, and Penguins, Flyers. Ding ding. Now, let's move on to the West. So now, friends, we are looking at the West, and I'll start at the top. The 8-9 matchup, Calgary Flames, Winnipeg Jets. This was one that I went back and forth over. I have no idea who's going to win this series. I think this is going to go the full 5 games. And I'm going with Winnipeg. I'm going with Winnipeg because this is a short best of 5. And in a short series like this, all you need is a hot goalie and he can win you the series. And I think that Connor Hellebuck is going to do that for the Jets. I think he's going to steal the series. He is better than David Riddick, and he's considerably better than Cam Talbot. Winnipeg has the huge goalie edge. Plus they have Blake Wheeler, Scheifele, Laine, Ehlers. They got the offense, and they got the goaltending, and it'll be good enough to get past the Flames. Next one, Nashville and Arizona. Everybody, before the Predators made the Stanley Cup Final against the Penguins in 2017, before that series, I was a fan of them. But when they play your team in the Cup Final, all of that goes away. And it's been a very strange year for Nashville. Tons of talent, all the talent in the world. Head coach gets fired. UC Soros takes over for Pekka Rinne, as it was a bad year for the Predators franchise goaltender. I'm going on a hunch here. I'm going on a limb, and I'm going with Arizona. With Rick Tocchet, they're extremely well coached. I feel that Rick Tocchet is a better coach than John Hines. And the Coyotes, what wins in the playoffs? Goaltending. And they got 2 really good ones. Darcy Kemper, one of the best in the league this year, and Antti Ranta, who was above average. And Phil Kessel is healthy. And in these parts, you don't mess with Kessel. And Nashville's going to learn that the hard way again. The Coyotes upset the Preds. Next one. If you like offense and you like hockey from the 1980s, where the scores were 9-8, then this is the series for you. Edmonton and Chicago. With the Oilers, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. For Chicago, Taves, Kane, DeBrincat. Wow. This is going to be a fun series to watch, folks. I'm going to have my eye on this one. I might do a game or two of this series. Woo! And everybody, with everything that's going on, again, home ice to Edmonton, as it's in their building. And I think they're going to outlast the Blackhawks. Corey Crawford, if he plays, we'll see. At the start of training camp, he was ruled unfit to play. And if he's unfit to play, it's not going to be pretty for Chicago. You think Colin Delia and Malcolm Subban are going to win you a playoff series in goal? Nope. It'll be the McDavid and Leon Draisaitl show. Edmonton wins. Next up, Vancouver and Minnesota. And I'm going to go with Vancouver here. Jacob Markstrom coming into his own. The young, fun Vancouver Canucks. And to be Minnesota, they just seem so blah. They seem so blah and old and mediocre and average. At least Vancouver is young and fun, and they have Elias Pettersson and Hughes and Besser and Bo Horvat, and they're fun to watch. For the sake of hockey, Vancouver's moving on. So there you have it, everybody. On the western side, I have Winnipeg, Arizona, Edmonton, and Vancouver. And as a result, the first round matchups would be the Blues and the Coyotes, Avalanche and Winnipeg, Vegas and Vancouver, and Dallas and Edmonton. On to round number 1. So everybody, here is a look at the first round bracket. I'll start over in the Eastern Conference for the first round. As you see, the Boston Bruins are playing the Florida Panthers, and all of the series are now best of 7. In Florida, they're a good team, they're a fun team, but the Boston Bruins, they're not going to be stopped here. The Bruins got it all. Offense, defense, coaching, 2 goalies. This isn't fair for the Florida Panthers, and I think the Bruins make relatively quick work of Florida as they rely on the Bergeron, Pasternak, Marchand line. Bruins winning in about 5 or 6, and they'll move on. Next series here in the East. Remember, everybody, I think it was a year or 2 ago, it was 2 years ago, where the Capitals played the Maple Leafs. And that was a really fun series. It went 6 games, if I remember right. I believe 5 of them went to overtime. And that was when the Leafs were young. They're more experienced now, and they're rested. But Washington is too. This is going to be a very fun series again. And it'll be very, very close. And one of these years, the Maple Leafs have to break through in the first round. And guess what, folks? Why not 2020? Why not 2020 for the Maple Leafs? Matthews and his line can match up with the Ovechkin line. Tavares, very solid, very, very good second line. Why not? Why not the Maple Leafs to beat the Capitals? Why not? My upset of the first round. The Maple Leafs upset the Capitals in the bubble. And they'll burst Washington's bubble and send them packing. So Boston and Toronto so far. Next up, Tampa Bay and Carolina. Carolina, they're a very good team, folks. They're a very good team, like I said, in their qualifying matchup. But Tampa Bay is a great team. Tampa Bay is a great team. And they really beefed up at the deadline, and they have Andrei Vasilevsky miles ahead, light years ahead of either James Reimer or Peter Mrazek for Carolina. Tampa Bay wins in 5, maybe 6 games. Will be on the quick side. Last series in the East for the first round. The Battle of PA, where the West side is the best side. Penguins, Flyers again in the playoffs. This'll be fun, especially for me and all of you who will get to listen and watch me call this series too. That'll be a fun one. The Flyers were one of the surprises this year. They were really good this year. And the Penguins did all of their winning with everybody hurt. The Penguins, other than Nick Bjugstad, Dominic Simone, and Zach Troutman, other than that, the Penguins are healthy. And I'm looking at the Penguins roster, and it is stacked. It is stacked. I think the Penguins roster, folks, I think the Penguins roster this year might be a more... It might be a better roster, a deeper roster than the 2017 Stanley Cup team. But it's always fun. It's always wild when the Penguins play the Flyers. As always, I'm picking Pittsburgh to win. I'm expecting a huge series from Sidney Crosby because you know, Crosby rules Philly. Dad always wins, and Pittsburgh beats Philly, and they'll move on to the second round. So let's look over to the West now. You got the Blues and the Coyotes. The Coyotes will be stingy. They'll be stingy because of their defense and their goaltending. But the Blues were the best team in the West without Tarasenko. And now he's back. And everyone's rested and everyone's healthy. And what an advantage here, everybody. What an advantage for the Blues. Last year they won the Stanley Cup. And before they start their cup run this year, they get a 4-month layoff. So there's not going to be fatigue. They're going to be fresh. They're going to be ready to go. Blues beat the Coyotes. Next up, Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets. Colorado, they're one of my favorite watches in the NHL. They are so fast and so fun. Nathan McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, Cale Makar. They're just a fun, fast, skilled team. And everybody's healthy now. A bunch of their roster was hurt before the break. They're now healthy. And they beat Winnipeg pretty easily. Next up, Vegas and Vancouver. Vancouver is a fun story. But again, Vegas, their roster is so deep. Fleury and Leonard in goal. Two unbelievable lines offensively. You got the William Karlsson line, and you have the Mark Stone line. They are such a good team, Vegas. Such a good team, and they win this series. And lastly, Dallas and Edmonton. This one is a question mark. This one is a toss-up to me. I think this will be a pretty long series, 6 or 7 games. Dallas is so good defensively, so good. And they got 2 elite goaltenders, Ben Bishop and Anton Khudobin. And everybody, Dallas, they're known for defense, but let's not forget they have Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. And in this coin flip series, oh, this is tough. This is tough because Edmonton, they were getting better defensively. They got Athanasiou at the deadline. Dave Tippett, really good at coaching defense. I'm going to go with Edmonton. They're going to shock the world, and they're going to beat Dallas. So there you have it, everybody. The first round winners. The Blues, the Avalanche, the Golden Knights, the Oilers, the Bruins, the Maple Leafs, the Lightning, and the Penguins. Let's move on to round 2. So here we are, everybody. We are in round number 2, the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'll start in the Eastern Conference. And this is a matchup that usually happens in the first round, but this year it happens in round 2. Bruins and the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs are riding high. They're on cloud 9. They've won a playoff series for the first time in forever. But they run into the brick wall called the Boston Bruins. The Bruins, again, too good all over the map, and they eliminate Toronto again. So the Bruins move on to the Eastern Conference Final. And next up in the East, we have a rematch of the Eastern Conference Final from 2016. The only sad thing about the bracket format being this way for this year, folks, is that we don't get our yearly rite of passage Capitals Penguins matchup in the second round, but an excellent consolation prize with the Lightning and the Penguins going at it. These are two very similar teams. They are built with speed and skill. And this is going to be an excellent series. Excellent series. And everybody, I keep looking, and with the Penguins, it just blows my mind how good their roster is. Their roster is better than their cup-winning rosters. It's unbelievable. And because of that, I'm picking... This is going to be a classic series, by the way. Penguins in 7. Nudged by Tampa Bay. And the Penguins move on to the Eastern Conference Final. Also, during training camp, Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, they are locked in and focused. And they are ready for a cup. And they want it. And they want it bad. So they get by Tampa to move on to the Eastern Conference Final. Now let me move on to the West. I'll start with St. Louis and Edmonton. The Oilers, the fun story of the playoffs thus far in their home building, make it all the way to the second round. But they run into the buzzsaw St. Louis Blues. The Blues are just too good and too deep of a team. It was a fun ride for the Oilers, but the Blues get back to the Eastern Conference Final. I'm sorry, Western Conference Final. Check that. Western Conference Final. I knew I eventually had to butcher something with a video this long. It's the Western Conference Final for the Blues. And now we move on to the last series of round 2. Colorado and Vegas. Everybody, this series warms my heart and also hurts my heart. Because other than the Pittsburgh Penguins, my second favorite team is Vegas and my third favorite team is Colorado. And one of them goes home in this series. Vegas made it to the Cup Final in their first year. Bowed out last season in round 1 against the Sharks. Really good team. Avalanche, really good team. This is such a tough series. But I'm going to go with the best high-end talent, and that's Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon is going to pull Colorado through in this series and send them on to play the Blues. So in the conference final, you're going to have the Blues and the Avalanche, and the Bruins and the Penguins. Let's get to it. Conference finals time. Here we are, everybody. We've made it to the conference finals. In the East, the Bruins and the Penguins. In the West, the Blues and the Avalanche. I'll start with Boston and Pittsburgh. On paper, the Bruins look like the better, deeper team. And with how they played in the regular season, you could make that argument. They weren't the best team for nothing. But everybody, these are the Pittsburgh Penguins, led by Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, Patrick Hornquist. This team and these players for the Penguins, I've never seen other teams go through and survive what the Penguins have been able to endure in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Both teams are phenomenal. Phenomenal. And all of you hockey fans are probably going to call me a homer here. Going to call me a homer. I'm just going on a hunch. I'm going on a hunch. Penguins haven't won 3 Stanley Cups and made it to 4 finals in the Sidney Crosby era for nothing. It's going to be, if you thought Tampa Bay was tough, this is going to be even more difficult for the Pens. 7 games. I don't know how. Matt Murray or Tristan Jarry standing on their head, but the Penguins and Sully get it done, and the Penguins go back to the Stanley Cup Final out of the East. Now the West, the Blues and the Avalanche. Rivals and excellent teams on both sides. But everybody, even since the month of March, since the regular season, I just had a hunch about the Avalanche. A hunch. I think that they're in store to do great things this year. For Nathan MacKinnon, it's time to go to the next step. It's time to get some of that national spotlight. And even though the Blues are phenomenal, the Avalanche are an eyelash better this year. And the Avalanche will beat the Blues and go on to the Stanley Cup Final. Plus, with the Avalanche, I just love their roster. Ian Cole, just solid. With Cale Makar, top to bottom, they're just really good. They're a really good hockey team. And this is going to be a really good and really fun Stanley Cup Final. Penguins and the Avalanche. Serve it up. Now here it is, everybody. We've made it to the Stanley Cup Final. And from the bubble in Edmonton, we'll have the Avalanche and the Penguins going at it. The experienced old vets of Pittsburgh against the youngins of the Avs. Everybody, the Colorado Avalanche remind me a lot of the 2008 Pittsburgh Penguins team that lost to Detroit in the Stanley Cup Final. Remind me a lot of them. Just their youth and their skill and their speed. But this is their first time ever on the big stage. And just like Sidney Crosby lost the first time he was in the final and on the big stage, I feel that will happen this year. The Avalanche, they're good. They're really good. They're fun. They're a blast. And this will be a series. It won't be a sweep or anything. This will go about 6 games, in my opinion. But the experience of how to navigate through all of this, and the work ethic, and the prep, and having Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang and Hornquist and Murray and Sully. The Pittsburgh Penguins get it done, and in the bubble year, they will be the Stanley Cup champions. So there you have it, folks. From the start to the end, from the qualifying round all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. In my bracket, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Stanley Cup champions. And it'll be another Stanley Cup run call for Joey the Truth Wagner. Everybody, thank you so much for watching this entire bracket from start to finish. And if you didn't earlier, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel and turn that bell on, because I'm going to be calling Stanley Cup playoff hockey like a madman. So turn the bell on so you're notified of any time that I'm on the air. And from the Truth Serum, Joey the Truth Wagner signing off. God bless. Have a great night.